give her another round of applause for that awesome speech. Yes. And she's talking about Mayor Kenny's budget. Mayor Kenny's budget. Right, and because of what we've done this past year, Sunita was correct, right? Our movement, the people out here coming out here, the people who marched, the people who protested, the people who called the city council office during that hearing and told them the 100 people are the reason why Mayor Kenny has chosen not to increase the police budget. But is that enough? No. Is that enough? No. We want to defund the police by 50%. Half. And put it into our communities. Put it into our schools. Create new jobs. And to keep on keeping the revolutionary energy high, our next speaker is going to be Bassam from the Philly Free Palestine Coalition. Please welcome him as he comes to the stage.
وللسلطة للعمال! All power to the working class! All power to the working class! My name is Bassam Aidani. I'm an organizer for the International Socialist Alternative and one of the organizers of the Philadelphia Free Palestine Coalition. We are a united socialist alliance of activist organizations and political parties dedicated to advancing the cause of Palestinian liberation from imperialism, settler colonialism, and Zionism, and to opposing the monstrous affliction of imperialism, state violence, and institutional racism wherever in the world they might spread their poisonous effects. We are here today to show our unwavering, unquestioning, unflinching support and solidarity for our black and brown sisters, brothers, and siblings who are being massacred every day by the racist, misogynistic, xenophobic, transphobic police across this country for the protection of the wicked capitalist system for the profit of a few billionaires who hold the entire world in thrall. The murderous police of America who stole the life of Daunte Wright, Adam Toledo, Christian Hall, James Alexander, George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and on and on and on for 500 years bear a striking resemblance to the Israeli Defense Forces who perch atop their border walls that surround their military siege on Gaza and fire live rounds of ammunition at unarmed protesters and gun down and roll tanks over civilians as they walk down the street. Little wonder that the police departments throughout the United States, from the FBI, CIA, and ICE, send their officers to receive military training from the Israeli Defense Forces. There they learn so-called best practices in such essentials of law enforcement as mass surveillance, racial profiling, and violent suppression of mass movements and dissent. Meanwhile, the tear gas canisters that the police shot at us when we marched on I-676 last summer are sold to the government of Israel to be shot at the masses of occupied and besieged Palestinians when they move to liberate themselves from the yoke of imperialism there. And the surveillance technology that they use right here in our home to track us and photograph us and recognize our faces is brought to you courtesy of the benevolent Israeli state. The police, the military, the immigration and customs enforcement, the client states like Israel, Jordan, the UAE, and Saudi Arabia, the satellite dictatorships that imperialism installs throughout Africa, Asia, and the global south, all of these are the myriad ways that capitalism inflicts violence upon the masses of peoples of color and colonized peoples and poor and working class peoples all over the world. All of this is just so that capital can lock down the dissent of the masses of the people, keep us in check and keep us afraid, keep us at the bottom and them at the top, keep the class system running as it always has, steal the world's resources and secure their political interests and spread their corporate entities across every inch of the earth so that a tiny handful of them who sit at the table of the ruling class can grow richer and richer and richer while millions of us perish from COVID-19. Right now in America, black and brown communities are receiving vaccinations at almost half the rate of white communities. Meanwhile, the vast majority of frontline workers, from the medical profession to transportation to education and school staff to factory and warehouse workers, like the one in Bessemer, Alabama, where the heroic workers are moving to organize themselves against Amazon, are from communities of color. 75% of the workforce of the Amazon warehouse in Bessemer is communities of color. In occupied Palestine, the Israeli government would not even deliver the vaccines to the people that they hold captive. So that to date, only 2 to 3% of them have been vaccinated against COVID-19. And the same is true of poor and neo-colonized countries throughout the world, where they have had limited or no access to vaccines, while rich imperialist countries like the US, EU, and Canada have hoarded vaccines up to 3 times the amount that they need in typical greedy, wasteful, capitalist fashion. Clearly, we are all suffering the same oppression at the hands of the same amoral and inhuman system. That is why the only way to rid ourselves of that oppression is to create a well-organized, international, cross-racial, cross-gender movement for the liberation of the working class and the creation of a truly democratic system built for our needs, where we receive the fruits of our own work, socialism. Only then will we have gotten justice for Daunte Wright, justice for Toledo, and justice for the colonized and neo-colonized peoples of West Asia and the global South. Thank you.
Thank you, Bassam, for that amazingly powerful speech. All power to the people. All power to the people. All power to the people. And none of it to the pigs. And over the last year, just picking up off of Bassam's amazing speech, the things that I have learned in the political education that I received while being an essay has allowed me to see that black people are actually a colonialized people inside the United States. And that is why many of our leaders who have tried to preach and reach international solidarity of the working class have been killed and murdered by the same forces who are trying to usurp, who are trying to co-opt the reawakening of the black liberation movement today. And there cannot be any solidarity, there can not be any progress or liberation for black people in the United States while the United States is bombing brown people or poor people in other countries. We must have international solidarity. And to have international solidarity, we cannot be in bed with a capitalist, imperialist, political party like the Democrats. We cannot attach our movement to that party, because the same party that will kettle peaceful protesters and gas them and shoot them with rubber bullets in Philly fighting for black liberation are the same ones who will drop bombs on Palestinians, are the same ones who will ally themselves with a country that will drop bombs on Palestinians. And we can't have that. We have to have international solidarity. We need a new party. We need a new party. And to have our next speaker, let's welcome Steph to the stage from Working Families Party. Let's welcome to the stage. Welcome, brother. Thank you.
Free Mumia! Free Russell Maroon Schultz! What's the call? What's the call? Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Steph Drain. I'm an organizer with the Pennsylvania Working Families Party, and I'm out here today to protest police violence and to talk about defunding the police, but also talk about our alternatives to the Democratic Party and the establishment that holds black and brown people down consistently. We're talking about black folks and brown folks in office that look just like us. All skin folk ain't kinfolk. So I started organizing about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, out of a moral obligation and a fear for my life. I'm organizing out of survival. I live in a community in Bartram's Village, a PHA public housing project that has not had any major renovations to it since the 70s. We don't have heat, we don't have lights, we don't have running water, and I'm a lifelong resident of the PHA housing project of Bartram's Village. There's more security and more of a police presence at my house in my community than there was on January 6th at the fucking Capitol. We want to talk about criminalizing black folks. We want to talk about over-policing. We want to talk about fucking austerity. Look at Philadelphia, the poorest big city in the country. $720 million police budget and divestment coming from things that the police are, let's take a step back. When we talk about defunding the police, a lot of folks are like, that's scary language. We don't know what that means. What it means is there are several sectors that the police are tasked with dealing with that they don't deal with in real ways. So when we talk about defunding the police by 50%, we're talking about giving money to the mental health institutions within the city, because the police do not deal with mental health crises in an apt way. We saw that when they murdered Walter Wallace Jr. 2 blocks from where the Move bombing happened, and we just got a fucking apology. An apology? So we stand here in front of City Hall. I'm an organizer, a political organizer. So I'm trying to learn how to hack elections, shuck and jive, get into the system. But don't get me wrong. I'm no moderate, and I do not believe in the system. I'd burn this motherfucker down first. I'd burn it down first. But I also know that this is a multi-tiered fight. Fight for legislation and policy. Push that shit. Get in office. Let's do it. Protest the police on the streets. Let them know we're here. We were here last year, and we're here again for the same fucking reasons. I'm sick of watching videos of people that look just like me, my brothers, my sisters, my siblings, being murdered by the police in the streets. And the mayor and the police chief, they met our occupying today with fucking National Guard and the police talking about damages to property. What about the lives lost? They're talking about peaceful protesting. They're more interested in protecting private insured property than they are with protecting black lives. There was more care taken with the Columbus statue than there are with black lives, indigenous lives. They boarded it up. They protected the Marconi racists. They uprooted the Rizzo statue, but they also handled that with care. They protected it, but they don't protect us. We protect us. We keep us safe. So what we need to do is continue to be in the street. I can't stress this enough. It's one thing to send a tweet. It's one thing to talk your shit, but it's another thing to walk that walk, to be out here. They talk about putting our bodies on the line. If you're black and brown, your body is always on the line. I don't have to tell y'all, free-form locks, real Nazi dreadlock, my body's always on the fucking line. So, I'm not gonna take any more time, but what we need to do is defund the police by 50%, reinvest in our communities, because there is no direct correlation with more money in the police and fucking less crime. The police are actually solving less crime than they have been, on a steady fucking decline. But we know that there's a correlation between education and a decrease in crime. We need our schools to be funded. We need our schools to be funded. We need our fucking schools to be funded. I went to public school my whole life. You couldn't drink the water. There were bars on the school. You thought you were in prison. Nobody wanted to be there. Yet we endure. As Dr. Cornel West says, we've become well adjusted to injustice. Justice for Daunte Wright. Justice for Adam Toledo. Free Mumia. Free Russell Maroon Schultz. No justice! No peace! No justice! No peace! No racist ass! No peace! Thank you.
Free them all! Free them all! Free them all!
What's the call? What's the call? What's the call?
Yes, all right. Now, we have our last speaker coming up. But before our last speaker comes up, actually, we're just gonna go to our last speaker, I'm sorry. But, 1 second. Before our last speaker comes up, this speaker is my comrade, this speaker is my brother, all right? Let's welcome him to the stage.
Justice for? Justice for? Justice for? Justice for? Hello, y'all. My name is Eric. I'm a member of Socialist Alternative, DSA, and the Black Caucus of Socialist Alternative. So we already know why we're here today, talking about the deaths of Adam Toledo, Daunte Wright, James Alexander, killed by the Philadelphia Police Department over there, and thousands of black and brown people. Young black and brown people gunned down by the police, by racist police. Adam Toledo was 13 years old. Chicago Police Department claimed he had a gun. He didn't have a gun. Shot down in a matter of seconds. And the prosecutor, this court system, defended these racist killer cops. You have Daunte Wright, Kim Porter, president of the Police Association, saying there was a fucking accident. Sorry, an accident. You got James Alexander, the Philadelphia Police Department, claiming that he shot at him. But we know they lied about a 13-year-old boy having a gun. They lie periodically to justify the death of black people. But why is this happening? Because there's a logic to it. It ain't random. Because the role of the police is to be trained to kill not only black people, but any working class person that wants to change this system. That is their job, to be in working class communities, to maintain the oppression and repression, to divide people and to repress organizing. That is their role. All of this happening during the Chauvin trial. Literally almost a year since the George Floyd rebellion, where 26 million people went out into the streets, combating the police, going up against Trump, the Republicans, and the Democrats. But it gotta be clear that nothing changed. We were not able to defund the police department in Philadelphia or across the country. That this city, after they murdered Walter Wallace, gave the police $7 million more to buy so-called tasers they don't even use. I'm gonna wait a second, let our friends come over here. Woo! Daunte Wright, Justice for? Justice for? Justice for Adam Toledo! Justice for? Justice for? Justice for? All right, so now we'll continue. That we saw last summer is that Democrats and Republicans mobilized militarized police, tear gas, working class people, working class communities, and they co-opted a movement, giving nonprofits millions and millions of dollars of corporate money from Amazon, JP Morgan, saying they're for black lives when they exploit and put black working people in horrific conditions. You ain't for black lives. We got Biden, mass incarcerated chief, say the first thing out of his lips, we need to not loot, we need peace and calm. And I don't know if it was an accident or it was on purpose. We need an investigation and expose who he truly is. A mass incarcerator, not a friend to black working people, not a friend for working people at all, only a friend of the police and rich. So it's a time for no more hashtags, no more corporate statements, no more begging. We need organization to struggle against the rich, against the political lackeys, and against the cops. We need organization that Samira Rice, Mike Brown, and Lisa Simpson are calling for. Families of victims of racial police killings. Organization that is national, rooted in working class communities, and led by the families suffering of police brutality. Now, Kenya, we have to talk about something important, and that is the gun violence epidemic in this city. It is connected to the struggle for black liberation. Now, you have Kenya and the Democrats using the gun violence epidemic to cut across the Black Lives Matter movement. Social Alternative had tables where we talk to regular black working people almost every other week, multiple times. And then they ran for a black working class person to say, I support Black Lives Matter, but black people are killing each other. And we gotta fix ourselves together before we combat the police. We don't trust the police at all, but what alternative is there? Do we call the police to stop the violence? Well, they won't. Or do we just sit at home and cower at home? That is a real thing. And this disgusting Kennedy administration is using that to divide working people. Mayor Kennedy and Daniel Outlaw, including the Attorney General of Pennsylvania, had a press conference a couple weeks ago where they said, we don't give a hell about prevention, we want enforcement. That's what Daniel Outlaw said. They want enforcement. They want to lock up young black and brown people. They want to do this so bad, they're suing Harrisburg to have stricter gun control laws that will definitely be applied more to young black and brown people. Poverty is the root cause of gun violence. Even Mayor Kennedy says so. Yet, he gives millions of dollars to the rich, millions of dollars to real estate developers. Just this week, in his budget, he just announced he's going to cut business taxes and not tax the rich, not defund the police. He claims he didn't raise the police department budget. You know what he did? He gave $7 million to a joint police mental health response program where a social worker and a cop will respond to issues. It's a joke. That what will happen is that cop will still kill people anyway. That you cannot reshuffle this money and think that we'll just fall for it. We want 50% to be defunded and put into social programs. Because the way the city is run on a capitalist system increases poverty, it increases the gun violence. And also we know that police don't solve crime. The police solve under 10% of gun shootings. They don't answer the working people. How many of y'all have called the police and they did not respond? How many of y'all have called the police and they don't respond for days? But if you steal something from Walmart and get something to eat, they'll respond. If you don't pay the rent and the landlord calls the cops, they'll respond. If you're jumping the subway because you can't afford the $2.50 to catch the L, which is underfunded, they'll respond and lock your ass up because they're defending property, profit, not working people. So let's get it straight. And these conditions are for young black people to arm themselves because it's either you the boot or you lick the boot. And that is the system of barbarity and poverty that this system creates. So don't give me some progressive veneer about how poverty is the root cause of gun violence when you are the cause of poverty and the police are there to maintain that system. The only way to combat racist policing and gun violence is democratic community control of the police and defunding them by 50%. And what do I mean by that? I mean a body democratically elected and made up by ordinary working people, not any of the political lackeys of City Hall and the two parties of big business that can hire and fire any cop. We're gonna do a lot of firing because there's too many goddamn cops anyway. To investigate, because police cannot investigate themselves, to negotiate with the FOP, because the Mayor Kenny has the interest of the fraternity of the police. It's ridiculous for them to negotiate with one another. They're on the same side. To fire all known racist cops, even if that means dismantling the entire police district. So black working people can engage in struggle with this system, with the police, in a mass way, or organized way, based in the communities. So the last thing I'm gonna say is this, that we cannot, it's almost a trope for me to say this, we cannot continue to respond sporadically. We cannot wait until another black person dies to protest, treating them as some sort of sacrificial lamb until we do something. It's not just police killing people. Police physically harass, sexually harass, rape, beat, rob, and steal from ordinary people, particularly black people, every single day.
Every day.
This city
Every day
has a multi-million-dollar program called Operation Pinpoint that has 24 hours a day, 7 days a week of surveillance, primarily in black and brown working class communities that covers 8.5% of this city. Yet, Mayor Kenny says he's for black lives. The only thing he's for is for the corporation's profits and for the racist white capitalist class. So what we need to do is to establish mass community meetings, social distance, virtual, whatever, to talk about next steps to winning Democratic community control of the police, to tax Comcast, Aramark, Independent Blue Cross, University of Pennsylvania, and Temple University, to stop, that's the only way to stop the gun violence epidemic, and to talk about how we can take back our communities and defund the police by 50%, and Mayor Kenny will not be in charge of where those funds go to. We will, the ordinary working people who have the power in the city. Justice for Daunte Wright. Justice for. Justice for. Justice for. Struggle for black liberation. Struggle for socialism. Thank you.
right, all right. We're going to keep moving. So now we're about to prepare for our march. You should be able to see our marshals with the SA flag, right? We're going to march to the new police station that they're building, that they should stop building, and they should give to the city and let the city use for the working class. Am I right? Am I right? They don't need a new police building. Do they need that building? Do they need that building? Hell no! Hell no! All right, so we're gonna get ready to march. All right, and remember, if you're not in a working class organization, right? Socialist Alternative is recruiting. We have tables here, and we have tables also at the area that we're marching to. Please look for someone in a Socialist Alternative shirt and ask us for more questions. All right, let's get started. Let's get ready.
How you doing?
Indict, convict, send those killer cops to jail. The whole damn system is guilty as hell. Indict, convict, send those killer cops to jail. The whole damn system is guilty as hell. Indict, convict, send those killer cops to jail. The whole damn system is guilty as hell.
Indict, convict, send those killer cops to jail. The whole damn system is guilty as hell. Convict, send those killer cops to jail. The whole damn system is guilty as hell. Indict, convict, send those killer cops to jail. The whole damn system is guilty as hell. Indict, convict, send those killer cops to jail. Indict, convict, send those killer cops to jail. The whole damn system is guilty as hell. Indict, convict, send those killer cops to jail. The whole damn system is guilty as hell. Justice for it. Justice for it. The whole damn system is guilty as hell. Send those killer cops to jail. The whole damn system is guilty as hell. Justice for? Justice for? Justice for? Daunte Wright! Justice for? Daunte Wright! Justice for? Daunte Wright! Justice for Adam Toledo! 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 Black Lives Matter! Black Lives Matter! Black Lives Matter! Black Lives Matter! I think that Black Lives Matter! Black Lives Matter! Black Lives Matter! Black Lives Matter! Toledo, Daunte Wright, get up, we must fight. Daunte Wright, Adam Toledo, Daunte Wright, get up, we must fight. Toledo, Daunte Wright, get up, we must fight. Daunte Wright.
What's their name? What do you say?
Daunte Wright! Daunte Wright! Daunte Wright! Daunte Wright! Daunte Wright! Daunte Wright! Black Lives Matter! 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 The whole damn system is guilty as hell! Indict, convict, send those killing cops to jail! The whole damn system is guilty as hell! Indict, convict, send those killing cops to jail! The whole damn system is guilty as hell! Indict, convict, send those killing cops to jail! The whole damn system is guilty as hell! Indict, convict, send those killing cops to jail! The whole damn system is guilty as hell! Indict, convict, send those killing cops to jail! The whole damn system is guilty as hell! Indict, convict, send those killing cops to jail! The whole damn system is guilty as hell! Send those killing cops to jail! The whole damn system is guilty as hell! Black Lives Matter! Black Lives lives matter.
Daunte Wright! Daunte Wright! Daunte Wright! George Floyd! George Floyd! George Floyd! George Floyd! George Floyd! George Floyd!
Justice for
George Floyd!
Justice for
George Floyd!
Justice for
George Floyd!
Justice for
Breonna Taylor!
Justice for
Breonna Taylor!
Justice for
Breonna Taylor! Breonna Taylor! Breonna Taylor!
Justice for
Breonna Taylor! Breonna Taylor!
Justice for
Breonna Taylor!
Justice for
Breonna Taylor!
Sandra Bland. Justice for
Sandra Bland!
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 All right. All right, comrades, we have reached the end of our route. This right here is the new 700 and something million new police headquarters that they're giving this city. After, right, as the city experiences poverty due to the pandemic, as they cut social services, as asbestos grows in our schools, and they put Walmart box fans in the windows, trying to keep our city, keep our children safe.
Probably louder.
I'm all right, thank you.
I'm gonna leave it here.
As they try to keep our children in the city safe, unacceptable. Is it right? Are we going to let that happen?
No!
I can't hear you. Are we going to let that happen?
No!
Justice for? Justice for Daunte Wright. Justice for?
Daunte Wright!
Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter!
Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter!
Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter!
And we are here to say we're not going to accept this. We are not going to sit here in a city that lets and pays its occupying police force as it occupies POC neighborhoods and patrols their neighborhoods, sends in the FBI, the ATF, all of these three-letter organizations to patrol our neighborhoods. We are not going to stand for it. 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 Are we going to stand for it, y'all? Comrades, I can't hear you. I can't hear you. Are we going to stand for it? Hell no. Hell no. Hell no. And Socialist Alternative is not going to stand for it either. All right, and now we're going to end this rally. But we are going to end this rally with an open mic. We're going to end this rally by letting the public air their grievances against this police force. We're going to end this rally by telling you that what you need to do is to get with an organization. Excuse me, my voice is strained. But get with an organization that that is a working class organization, that is explicitly revolutionary, that has a clear political perspective, right? And one that is issuing clear demands, like defund the police by 50%. 50% in half. Indict and send all killer cops to jail. Tax the rich and the corporations. To fund all the needed services in our city that reduce crime, because the police don't keep us safe. And we have one last speaker. To start our open mic, excuse me. To start our open mic.
Hello? Is this louder? Hello!
Guys, come down, make some noise.
Beautiful people! Beautiful people! It's good to see it. We took back the streets! We took them back! You know, they say that you cannot heal. You cannot heal what you cannot reveal. So I want to reveal something to you, police officers. That when 2 of your comrades came to my home when I called 911 because 8 people came into my home to beat the living shit out of me in front of my goddaughters while they watched in horror as I got beat up. You left me there and told me to go downtown and make a private complaint. That's what you did. Do not forget that these people put on people clothes. They put on people suits and pretend to be civilians. They walk among us like wolves in sheep's clothing. But we know who you are. We see you. You don't see us, but we see you. We know exactly who you are. Like I said before, 2 police officers were just recently arrested. Stealing. Lying. Obstruction. You wanna know why? Because it's an unjust system with unjust people working in them. And I said it before, and damn it, I'll say it again. They say one bad apple spoils the whole batch. But what if there's dozens, hundreds of bad apples? Then what do? You want to label us as miscreants? You want to label us as troublemakers? You want to label us as disturbing the peace? No, we want peace.
Yes, we want peace.
We want peace.
We want peace.
We want peace. We want peace. We want peace. We want peace. Okay, I'm gonna say this. They say you need conflict in society for society to change. And we have to push back against our oppressors. We have to push back. We cannot sit down and allow injustices to just flourish and blossom while we suffer. We suffer long enough.
Long enough.
Somehow, some way, we can afford this monstrosity, but can't afford to make any shelters for homeless women and homeless children. We can't build shelters for the LGBTQ community who are unsafe in these spaces. And guess what? When you're LGBTQ, when you're brown, when you're black, there are no safe spaces. None exist. We help our own. Because if we don't, they'll devour us like they've been trying to do. And I've had enough. Today is a reckoning. The callous disregard, the indifference, the inhumanity of the change officers. Look at you, private conversations, laughing. It's real funny. Just like they laughed at me when I bled out after I got attacked. Shut don't tell me what a simple assault is and what an aggravated assault is, but go figure. The charge got enhanced. Go figure. The charges got enhanced. So I guess as a civilian, I do know what an aggravated assault is. They beat my ass in front of my children. And when I asked that officer, what would you do if that was your wife? Huh? What would you do if that was your sister? And 8 people came in and beat her ass. What would you do? He told me I would tell her to go down and file a private complaint. That's a lie! They lied to us! Bullshit! It's bullshit! So, just so you know, officers, it took a nurse in triage to call 911 for a 3rd time for me to get any kind of justice, and I'm still not getting any. The woman who attacked me and brought a band of transphobes into my home is out on bail. Out on bail. While my godchildren are suffering from nightmares! They need therapy! No one gives a damn about the children! And I'll never forget that black officer, that black woman officer at the 17th district that looked at me completely helpless. She was scared to talk to her sergeant because we know those white shirts how they do. What they say goes, and that's the end of it. You stick up against them, you're out of a job. You get demoted. This is a fascist, militarized regime, and it must be completely dismantled. You haven't seen the last of us. Unfortunately, you haven't seen the last of us. Because until I start seeing true justice, when I start seeing less of my oppressors, then I have to keep on fighting. I almost died fighting for what I believe in. I almost died. And I have no problem putting my life on the line, just like you swear to do, to protect and serve me, even though you think I'm not worthy of that protection. So, officers, when you're out there wearing your people suits, pretending like you don't have any prejudices or any biases, pretending like you're LGBTQ friendly when you're not, when you're pretending like you're not racist when you are, when you're lying like you usually do, okay? When you do this, remember that we're walking right alongside you, and we're going to hold you accountable because you are unable or unwilling to hold yourself accountable. Last thing, we're going to see more arrests of officers committing crimes. This is the last of it. Ain't the first time it happened either. We're going to see more. You want to know why? Because so many of them are criminals. Passing psych evals. How do you pass a psych eval and you're killing people? You're a murderer. You're a sociopath. You're narcissistic. You're power hungry. Put the damn gun down. Learn how to have a conversation for a change.
Thank you, comrade. Thank you. And how do we keep the police accountable? How? One is through the Citizens Police Oversight Commission, which the city just voted for. And you know what? There's some pros. There's some good things in there, right? But we're going to have to fight to make sure that the same people who sicked these police on us last summer and allowed them to kettle us and shoot us and gas us are not the same people who are going to be on this oversight commission. We need to make sure it's us, elected from the neighborhoods, right? And through that, we can actually hold these police accountable. We can see if they're posting racist shit, they're fired. If they have Nazi tattoos, they're fired. If they have domestic abuse violations or reports, they're fired. If the community is reporting them for being abusive, they're fired. We can investigate them. We have power of their budget. We can end them. We can end the traffic stops. Right? Through the Citizens Police Oversight Commission, right? We're going to have to fight for that. But how are you going to do that? How are you going to stay involved? You need to be part of an organization that is going to politically educate you, that's going to keep you up to date. Socialist Alternative is going to do that. We have a public meeting tomorrow that's on Zoom. That's going to be talking about these very things, right? Look at the people who are wearing the shirts, who are holding the flags. Come talk to us so that we can give you the links to those. Who would like to speak next? I guess we're just going to ask speakers to keep it to 2 to 3 minutes so that we can have everyone participate. Thank you.
So, right now I'm in college, so I'm going to ask y'all some questions. What year is it? And what year did the Civil Rights Act pass? So how come I still have to tell police officers within all that time that my life matters just as much as everybody else's? And it's kind of a scary thought, because when I think back to my grandmother remembers back when schools were segregated. So people like to say, oh, like, you've had rights for a long time. If I have rights, then why every single time I see a police officer, I have to fear for my life? Just because of the color of my skin, just because of the way I was born. I have no choice over this, yet this society and this systemic racism wants to make it so much harder for me to survive. And you know what? I'm also LGBTQ, so that just doubles the rate of my likeliness to be killed. It's Black Lives Matter, it's trans lives that matter, it's queer lives that matter. And we gotta keep on remembering that. And can I also ask, does anybody know the difference between 8 ounces and 2.6 pounds? Is that a significant weight difference? Is that a significant weight difference? Can y'all tell? Because Kim Potter certainly couldn't. It was no accident. It's called murder. And she is being rightfully charged. And any of these racist cops should be rightfully charged. And I'll end it on this. Some people like to say that not all cops are bad, right? So let's just say I have a police squad of 10, and 2 of them are racist. The other 8 that say nothing are just as responsible and just as bad. It's a systemic issue that needs to change through defunding the police. Thank you.
All right, we're gonna have a few more speakers. If you would like to speak, we're hosting a line right here. Please form a line over here. Okay, Black Lives Matter. Next weekend, we have an opportunity to say Black Lives Matter, but by also saying Mumia's life matters. Because Mumia is very close to falling into the next world. And the system is killing him by not providing him the compassionate release, because he's had comedy, he's had so many ailments. I am not going to make like the top expert. He has ailments out the wazoo. So next weekend, the whole weekend's dedicated to All Out for Mumia. On Friday, 4/23 at 6 p.m., there's a virtual fundraiser and speak out. You'll find this. You got to search for All Out for Mumia. And Saturday, this is the important mass mobilization, begins at 2 p.m. at City Hall. Who's going to be here 2 p.m. City Hall next Saturday? Mumia's life matters. And then there's follow-up events on Sunday, the Spirit of the Maroons, honoring Russell Schultz, and also Long Live Walter Wallace, Sunday, 2 to 5 p.m. So you got the flyers. If you could take a picture of the flyer, post it to Facebook, post it Insta, whatever you do, put it on your websites. Let's make it massive. Thank you very much. And next we're going to have Gina. She's going to be talking about James Alexander.
Let's give her a applause.
I didn't expect to be speaking today. It really touched me to hear James mention his family called him Poppy. That was one of my best friends. That was one of my best friend's nephew. I know his whole family. We just had a vigil for him. His grandmother, his first cousin, his aunt, I held them while they cried, and no one is talking about him. I want everyone to know that James, although he might not be the perfect victim, as they call it, to be uplifted, he had a very good heart. He had a family that really loved him. He had so many people that loved him. He was a very happy person. I've known him since he was a child. I watched him grow up, and 24 years old, just coming home from the mall, he gets pulled over by the police to the back, and they claim it was a shootout, while the cop only got a shot in the foot, but it was a shootout. When I saw his grandmother, she said they took him. His body was bruised. How did that happen? For a shootout. How did he end up getting bruised? Nobody is talking about James. Exactly. It was the wrong person. Just like with Breonna Taylor. And I'm tired of this shit. I've been out here protesting with y'all before with different groups. I've been out here so many times, and I'm tired of it. My 8-year-old son is afraid of the cops. We went to the vigil, and he saw the cop car, and I was walking towards it to get in the car to go home. He had an anxiety attack. My son is in elementary school, and he's afraid of the police because he keeps seeing his mother going out to protest constantly. And he asked me why, and I'm not going to lie to him. I'm not going to tell him a lie. We have to know that you can't trust them. The same people that are supposed to protect us will also kill you. And I have to teach my children it at a very young age. And I'm tired of it. I don't know what we need to do, but what we're doing now is not working. It's not fucking working. At this point, there's going to be a war. You cannot sit at home. You can't just sit on Facebook. You have to get out in the street. Because we leave this world to our kids. What the fuck are we leaving them? Nothing has changed. From Martin Luther King to Malcolm X, we are in the same goddamn boat. So what are you going to do? You want to keep sharing posts? You going to keep sharing things on Facebook? You going to donate your money? No, you got to get out in the street. You have to enact some type of real change. And I'm telling you, be ready for the war that is coming. There is going to be a war because we are tired of it. James Alexander, say his name. James Alexander, say his name. Say his name. Say his name. There will be no peace until there is justice.
Say his name. Say his name. Say his name. Say his name. Thank you, comrade, and we're going to keep him. Next speaker.
It's not enough this week. They took Daunte Wright. It's not enough this week. They took Adam Toledo. In the same week, they shot a 16-year-old boy named Peyton who had autism and a toy gun. They can't even limit it to killing one child a week. When I was trying to figure out how many kids to put on this sign, there were too many kids to fit. They took too many kids away from us. How much of our children's blood is going to be on your hands? How many of our babies are you going to have to bury because of people who wear your uniform? None of these kids deserve to die. And if you're not about this, if killing children doesn't sit right with you, if a 1-year-old getting shot in the head teacher. I teach elementary school. And in my 2 years of teaching, the police have tried to arrest 3 of my kids. 2 of them were 9, and they dragged them out of my classroom in handcuffs at Henry C. Leah. Against my will, they forced me to sign a police report for 9-year-olds. And you know what I did? I said I remember their names. Because fuck you for arresting 9-year-olds! I'm not signing that! But it gets better, because I left that school because the principal called the police on these children for pulling hair. And then I started teaching at Mastery Charter, and I teach kindergarten. And the first year I taught kindergarten, a kid in my class called 911 from the school phone. And they decided they wanted to arrest this child. They wanted to put a 6-year-old in handcuffs and put him in the squad car because he needed to be taught a lesson. And the only reason they didn't do it is my principal had to lock the damn doors of the school, and they were cursing at her and screaming at her because their egos were so fragile. They were bruised by a 6-year-old child. That's the quality of people we have on the force. People who think a 6-year-old is stepping to them too much. That's how we end up with this. That's how we end up with dead children at the hands of people in uniform. And I don't know about you, but I'm not going to let them take one more kid away from us. I don't care what happens. They've gassed my friends before. They've tried to beat my ass before. They've taken me to jail before. And I'm not fucking going anywhere. Because if you're not going to protect our kids, somebody else has to.
Thank you, comrade. And I just want to plug that Socialist Alternative is having a Black Caucus meeting tomorrow. It's going to be open to anyone, but we specifically want to invite Black members because the movement for Black lives needs to mature, right? It needs to mature past celebrity activism. It needs to mature past associating with the Democratic Party. It needs to mature past, appeasement with these fucking pleas, right? Let's keep it going. And if you would like to attend and have the link for that, reach out to me and I'll make sure you get it.
I'm sorry if my voice gives out a little bit. I'm kind of disabled, so walking a lot was kind of rough, but it's fine. It's for a good cause. But I want to talk about mental health and how that. I'm sorry. Having mental health issues that are very much stigmatized and demonized is already enough on its own. But when you're a person of color, especially a dark-skinned person, who's already seen as more aggressive, violent, simply for existing, something as simple, or should be as simple, as getting a diagnosis for a disorder or a mental health issue that is seen as scary or, crazy or whatever, I'm terrified of even getting that diagnosis because I want to get it because I want to have the help, but knowing that if I'm having a mental health issue and someone calls the cops on me, I'm dead. And so many other of my friends have to deal with shit like this. And Walter Wallace Jr., I'm sorry. Seeing what happened with Walter Wallace Jr. happened so close to home in multiple different meetings, it was almost like a reminder, because I have a lot of friends who are white and have the same, mental illnesses that I have. And obviously they still deal with the stigmatism, and they still deal with police being overly aggressive and overly violent with them. But it's such a big difference between that and being a person of color, especially a black person, knowing that literally just walking down the street, people are going to see you as violent. People are going to see you as angry, as someone who's going to do something to them. So when you add on the fact that you have this scary mental illness, it adds so many different layers that I'm not very good at, I'm not good at explaining. But it's just, I'm sorry. I just want more awareness to the more scary or the more, unrecognized mental health issues that black people have, and to not demonize them, to not say that they're just crazy, to not say that they're not worth helping, because they're all worth helping. And we don't need to be killed in the process of that help. I think that's all.
All right, thank you, comrade. And I want you all to know, you're worthy, your life matters, your opinion matters, and not only that, but you deserve a part of being a stakeholder in our democracy. You deserve to be able to change things, right? Your opinion matters and your democracy matters. Thank you, comrade. Come on. Thank you.
Hi, guys. So, I am mixed race. My father is black and my mother is Spanish. My entire life, I have been told, oh, you are not Spanish enough. You are not black enough. You are not one or the other. You are this weird in-between. I am not more black than I am more Spanish. I am both. And that goes for all mixed people. And especially I would hear that from teachers in school. And that's what I'm going to talk about now. School. And how the school system is corrupt as shit. There are pictures of protesters from when my grandparents were my age. My grandparents were there when Martin Luther King gave his I Vote During speech. They were there for all of it. And you want to know what? Those pictures, they have them in color, but they purposefully make them in black and white to seem like it was such a long time ago, but it was not that long ago. Because we are still fighting. We are still marching. We are still here trying to make the point that we tried to make back then. How is it that when my grandparents were my age, they were marching and they felt like this is going to be a different time. We are entering a new age. But we are still stuck at that time that they were. Even though things are modern, we are not modern thinking because we are still killing each other. We are still marching. We are still having to scream and do everything we can just for someone to listen, just for people to look at us and see that we matter. We all matter. We should not have to fight years for all of this. I should not have to hear from my baby sister that she got called out in front of the entire class for being the only black kid in school. She should not have to hear racial slurs be thrown at her left and right from teachers, from students, from the police officers. She is a young woman trying to raise up, trying to learn how the world works, and she should not be afraid to walk outside and look around. She should not have to be afraid that one day I could step outside and be at the wrong place at the wrong time with the wrong cop and get shot for being myself, for being born the person that I was meant to be. She should not have to be oppressed. We should not have to be oppressed for something that we cannot control. We should be lifted up. We should be praised. We should be told, you are beautiful, you are amazing, you are talented, you can do this. Because you are you and there's nobody else like you. We need to look at the schools. We need to look at the cops. We need to look at everything, the broader picture, to really see where the faults are. I don't know how we can fix them, but if we stand, if we actually come together and raise our voices, then maybe we can make a difference. Maybe we can find a solution to this fucked up situation. Thank you.
Thanks, comrade. We have one last speaker. Let's give her a round of applause.
Hi guys, so I am a sex worker, and as a lot of you know, there are a lot of black, brown, and queer people in sex work. I am very lucky to not have to be a full-service sex worker and get assaulted by these cops, but I have been. I was a stripper at a club, and a cop came in, and then he followed me home. He followed my car home because he wanted, as he said, a little more. He pulled me! He pulled me out of my car, and he beat me because I wouldn't put my window down for him. And then he raped me. And do you know what the police sergeant asked me multiple times? Are you sure it wasn't a black man? Are you sure he wasn't a black man? How do you know he was a white cop? And then my case was closed because of insignificant evidence. Because they wouldn't take a rape kit. And this has happened to countless sex workers in this city and all across the country and world. Because these cops know they're not gonna help us. And they're so against sex work. They're so against it until it's for them. They're willing to throw dollars to see me get naked. But when I get hurt, because someone takes it too far, well, you're just a whore. You had it coming.
Unacceptable.
Do you remember that? You guys embarrassed me in a hospital while I was bloody, bruised. You told the doctor she's just a whore. You should check her for HIV. And the worst part is I know so many other sex workers that have stories worse than this. But no one talks about it because we're just whores. We're just whores! And I know so many black and brown sex workers who are too scared to even call the cops to begin with. And then they sit in our dressing room and they cry and cry because no one's there to help them and the bouncers can only do so much. Why do strip clubs have ban lists with countless police on them? Countless! What does that say? They have an internal rape problem. Don't forget that's why Daniel Outlaws here. Because they rape each other. They rape each other. They can't even not rape each other, and we think they're going to protect us? You think they're going to protect your daughters? You rape each other. What is wrong? But you guys can pass psych evals. So interesting. I really don't have much more to say. It's just a lot of anger. And honestly, sex work isn't dangerous. It's dangerous when it's illegal. Decriminalizing sex work will save lives. Girls don't have to be scared to go to the police being like, I was raped, but I'm a stripper, or I do OnlyFans, or I do porn, or I do full service. Because guess what? We're just trying to survive.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Sex work is work. Sex work is work. And you know what? We have actually two more speakers. I lied. But you know what? There's just so much shit to air against the police. There's just so much grievances to air against the police. Yeah, there we go. All right, and two things I'm gonna plug real quick. Number one is the Black Caucus. That SA is having tomorrow, and I think that's the one thing.
I'm gonna keep this real short. Excuse me, I want to talk to the police officers, please. We talk about a racist system, but did you know over 40% of the PPD is made up of black and brown officers? You know what that means? That means that they are complicit. They know who these racist sergeants are, who have 20, 30 years on the job that should be out, who are completely racist. They know who they are. There's no denying it. Could you imagine if over 40% of the black and brown police force banded together to expose these racist motherfuckers? Could you imagine the kind of progress we would have? But they won't do it. So then I have one quick question, and I want to leave. Because I'm really sick of seeing all these black officers out here. Excuse me, black officers, I want to know how you prepare your children for the talk about how to interact with the police. Do you tell them, it's okay, son, you're black, but guess what? Just tell them that you're bad as a police officer, you'll be fine. I kind of wonder how it's going to go.
Our last speaker, thank you, comrades. Yo, all right. I'll keep this really short because I was told to. I moved here like a month ago with my brother, and the first thing that he did with me was he took me to Kensington Avenue, which is the most tragic, depressing, horrifying place I've ever seen in my life. And if you haven't been there, go there. Don't walk there because it's legitimately dangerous. Drive through, look at what is going on in this city that they're doing nothing about. The mayor's doing nothing about it because those people don't vote. Those people are not a part of his voter base. They don't contribute they don't do anything. So it's fucking tragic. Drug addicts, it's so sad, and they do nothing about it. It's a travesty.
Police don't keep us safe.
It's really terrible. Okay, that's all I had to say. Thank you. Thank you, comrades, for coming out. Thank you, comrades, for coming out. All power to the people. All power to the people. All power to the people. And none of it to the pigs. And none of it to the pigs. All power to the people. And none of it to the pigs. Thank you for coming out, comrades. Thank you for coming out. Hell yes. Hell yes. Make some noise. Make some noise. Make some noise. Yes. Yes. Bring it up. Revolution. Liberation in our time. Liberation in our time. In our time. In our time. In our time.
Well, thank you again for coming out. Thank you all again for coming out. We have 2 tables set up. Our organizers are set up on both sides of the street. If you haven't signed up on our contact sheet yet, please sign up. We're going to give you all the details about our public meeting at 7 o'clock on Zoom on Sunday. We're going to be hearing from our Socialist City Council person in Seattle, Shamasawan, as well as Big Mike, a union organizer in Bessemer, Alabama. And we're going to talk about how to shut down these racist, murderous cops. Thank you. See you when we are next weekend. Don't forget that either.